After Austria's 2-0 defeat against Argentina, Ralf Rangnick appeared before the media with a very clear mix of emotions. He was not happy because no coach can be completely satisfied when his team has just lost a World Cup match. But he did not show frustration, anger, or deep disappointment either. Quite the opposite. The Austrian coach appeared calm, analytical, and, above all, proud of the way his players competed against one of the strongest national teams in the tournament. Austria fell to Argentina in an extremely tough, tight, uncomfortable match full of details. It was not the kind of defeat that leaves the feeling of having been outplayed from beginning to end. Nor was it a match in which the European team resigned itself to defending near its own goal for 90 minutes. Austria tried to press, tried to make things uncomfortable, tried to take fluidity away from the world champion, and for several stretches of the match, managed to keep Argentina from playing with the comfort it usually finds when opponents give it too much space. That is why, when Rangnick took the floor, his first message was for his own players. "I am satisfied with many things the team did," the Austrian coach said. "I can't say I'm happy, because we came here to compete, and we wanted to get something more out of this match. But we also have to be fair in our analysis. We played against Argentina, probably the toughest opponent in this group, and one of the toughest teams in the world. We knew this result could happen. The important thing was to truly compete, and I think we did that for many minutes." The phrase sums up Austria's mood quite well. There was no celebration because defeat hurts, but there was no drama either. Before the match, Rangnick had already made it clear that facing Argentina required an almost perfect performance. He had spoken about the individual quality of Lionel Scaloni's team, the collective intelligence of its midfielders, the experience of its defenders, and, of course, the presence of Lionel Messi, that player who forces you to modify any match plan. And on the field, Austria confirmed exactly that. You can prepare the match, study movements, analyze patterns, close passing lanes, press high, or wait in a mid-block. But against Argentina, there is always one detail that changes everything. A pause, a 1-2, a through ball, an oriented first touch, a foul near the box, 1 second of distraction, and many times that second is enough. Rangnick, however, did not want to reduce the match only to Argentina's superiority. He also valued his team's personality in sticking to the idea. "I think we had good moments," he explained. "In the first half, we managed to prevent Argentina from finding inside passes easily. We tried to be brave. We weren't always able to win the ball back where we wanted, because they have players with a lot of quality to get out of pressure. But the intention was there, and for me, that is important. Against a team like Argentina, if you only wait, sooner or later they punish you. We wanted to compete with our own weapons." The Austrian coach also acknowledged that in order to get points against a team like Argentina, playing a decent match is not enough. You have to be precise in both boxes. You have to take advantage of the few situations that appear. You have to defend without mistakes. And you need a bit of luck in key moments. Austria had attitude, discipline, and order, but lacked a bit of clarity in the final meters. "Against Argentina, you're not going to have 10 clear chances," Rangnick said. "Maybe you'll have 2, maybe 3. Maybe just 1, and when they appear, you have to choose well. That is where we have room for improvement. We reached some interesting areas, but we did not always make the best decision. We lacked a cleaner pass, a better touch, a quicker shot. Those kinds of details are what make the difference in a World Cup." One of the most discussed points of the night was inevitably Lionel Messi. The Argentine was once again a protagonist, although the match had an unexpected moment: his missed penalty. For any other player, missing from the penalty spot in a World Cup could become a huge burden. For Messi, it ended up being almost an anecdote inside another chapter of his story. Asked about that moment, Rangnick responded with a smile. "Well, at least today he proved he is human," the Austria coach said. "For so many years, it looked like he wasn't. He missed a penalty, and that can happen to anyone. But the most impressive thing is not that he missed it. The most impressive thing is what he did afterward. He didn't hide. He kept asking for the ball, he kept moving between the lines, and he kept influencing the match. That speaks to his mentality." The phrase quickly began circulating among the journalists present, because it mixed respect, humor, and admiration. Rangnick did not try to minimize Messi for having missed. On the contrary, he used that mistake to highlight his ability to respond even more. Because for the Austrian coach, the true trait of great players is not that they never make mistakes, but that they remain decisive even after making them. Many players, after missing a penalty in a match like this, need a few minutes to come back mentally, he added. That doesn't happen with Messi. He can miss, and 30 seconds later, he is already thinking about the next play. That is one of the reasons why he has been at this level for so long. Rangnick also explained that Austria had worked especially hard to reduce Messi's influence between the lines. The idea was not to allow him to receive facing forward, to surround him as soon as he touched the ball, and to force him to play it off into less dangerous areas. At times, the plan worked. Austria managed to prevent Messi from having a comfortable match from the start. But that, according to the coach, never means the problem is solved. With Messi, there is no such thing as controlling him completely, he admitted. You can reduce spaces, you can put players close to him, you can try to make him receive with his back to goal. But he understands the game before everyone else. Sometimes he doesn't need to touch the ball much to change the rhythm of an attack. Sometimes, with one movement, he already creates an advantage for another teammate. And if you give him 1 meter, he finds something. Beyond Messi, Rangnick highlighted Argentina's structure. For him, one of the great virtues of Scaloni's team is that it no longer depends only on one individual, no matter how extraordinary he may be. Argentina knows how to compete in matches with different rhythms. It can press, it can defend deep, it can manage a lead, it can accelerate with its wingers, or pause with its midfielders. And that, for Austria, made the match even more demanding. Argentina is not just Messi, he pointed out. Obviously, Messi is special, we all know that. But around him, there is a very mature team. They know when to attack, when to cool the match down, when to make a tactical foul, when to accelerate. They have players who have already won a lot together. You can feel that experience. The defeat leaves Austria with a clear obligation to beat Algeria in the next match. Rangnick did not want to dramatize the scenario, but he was direct. The Austrian team knows its margin has shrunk, and that now the final group match will be decisive for its ambitions. Now, there is not too much time to feel sorry for ourselves, he said. We have to recover well, analyze what we can improve, and prepare for the match against Algeria. That is our objective. We came in knowing this group was going to be very tough, and we also knew that everything would probably be decided on the final match day. Now, we have to win. It is that simple. The coach also made it clear that he does not want his players to arrive at the match against Algeria weighed down by frustration. On the contrary, he wants them to use what they did against Argentina as a positive sign. If Austria was able to compete that way against the world champion, it should also have enough confidence to impose its football against Algeria. I told the players to keep their heads up, Rangnick revealed. Not because losing is okay, but because the attitude was the right one. If we maintain that intensity, if we are more precise with the ball, and if we make better use of our chances, we have the arguments to win the next match. But we will have to prove it on the field. Austria knows that Algeria will be a completely different opponent. It will not have the same type of control as Argentina, but it can present other problems: speed, physical play, quick transitions, and a similar need to get points. Rangnick understands that match will not be won just because Austria competed well against Argentina. They will have to play with intelligence, patience, and decisiveness. Algeria has dangerous players, he warned. We cannot think that because we played a good match against Argentina, the next one will be easier. There are no easy matches in a World Cup. We have to respect the opponent, but we also have to believe in ourselves. If we want to stay in the tournament, we need a great performance. In the Austrian dressing room, the feeling was similar. Pain from the defeat, but no resignation. The team left knowing it had come close to making Argentina even more uncomfortable, but also understanding that against teams of that level, every small mistake is punished. Rangnick tried to turn that reading into fuel for what comes next. The final image of the coach was that of a realistic manager. He did not sell a defeat as if it were a moral victory, but he also did not allow the result to erase everything positive. Austria did not get what it wanted, but it did not leave destroyed either. It competed, resisted, made things uncomfortable, and stayed in the match until the end. And in a World Cup, sometimes that emotional difference is key. There are defeats that sink a team, and there are defeats that can serve as a starting point. Rangnick wants this one to be the second kind. We lost against a huge opponent, he concluded, but we are still alive. Now everything depends on how we react. If we react as a team, if we are brave, and if we play with the same energy, we will have our chance against Algeria. Austria did not leave happy. It could not leave happy after losing, but it did not leave empty either. It left with the certainty of having competed against one of the giants of the tournament and with a very clear mission ahead. Leave the defeat behind, correct the details, and play for qualification against Algeria. And meanwhile, Rangnick left one of the phrases of the day about Messi. For an instant, when he missed a penalty, he seemed human. But just a few minutes later, he reminded everyone why, even when he makes a mistake, he is still different.